I gotta kill him. I will kill him like that. I don't even care. Get out of here, boy. Yeah, teamwork. Drop my gun. Watch out. I said watch out. I said watch out.
Dying Light 2 is great, but has flaws. I remember following the development of the game since E3 2018-ish, you know, and it's finally here. The game is not Cyberpunk, but Cyberpunk was good in my opinion, but it never lived up to the hype, you know, but this game, on the other hand, it lives up to the hype, for the most part, you know. Let's start off with the story. I haven't beaten the story yet, so think of this as an impression type of video, you know. I've played 20 hours-ish, so I'm fairly confident I experienced a good chunk of the game. This still is not my final thoughts, mainly on the story, you know. About the gameplay, my thoughts are pretty, they're pretty you know what I mean? Yeah. And the story might get better throughout the game, but so far the story is honestly the biggest flaw of the game. This story itself is decent, you know. The main story is decent, it has its moments. The problem is the pacing is horrendous, it's terrible. The pacing is all over the place. The problem with this is that some characters never get their time to shine, or some moments where you are talking to someone, you're just getting hand-filled a bunch of exposition, and you just want to kick a dude off a building instead. The dialogue is also very boring in some areas. There can be too much exposition and not enough actual story itself. Also, the villain starts off good, and then it always makes an impression when he shows up, but he barely shows up. He shows up every so often, you know. The characters are also fairly interesting. I think the main protagonist, Aiden, is pretty boring, but he gets the job done. But everyone else, for the most part, is good, you know, like Hakon and some other characters, you know, like Lawin and stuff. So yeah, the story, I would say, is mainly carried by characters and set pieces. Also, the lip syncing can get pretty bad. For the most part, it's good, not having experienced any real bad lip syncing, but I heard mainly from side characters that it can be bad, you know. Overall, the story is honestly good, but enough to keep me interested. But the choices are also nice that help bring up the story an extra point or two, you know. But there are only two endings, sadly, two distinct endings. The choices throughout the game will change how your mission will go and do matter, but not change how the ending will go, which is a big missed opportunity. Overall, it's still cool that your mission will be completely different because of the choice you made. An even bigger missed opportunity is the fact that choosing a faction to side with doesn't really affect the story. Yes, there is a mission, the water tower one early in the game, where if you side with the peacemakers or keepers, whatever, or side with the survivors, you do a thing to help that faction. But it would be really cool if there's actual faction wars and distinct missions for a certain faction, you know. But this game doesn't have it, which is a massive it's just a big missed opportunity, you know. The game would have really been even better if they had like faction wars, you know. It would be cool, you know. The game itself, not like what it could be, but the game itself is still good though, but it just feels kind of empty when you keep thinking about it. And yeah, overall the main story is interesting, but suffers from poor pacing. And now onto the buttery smooth gameplay. The gameplay is great. The parkour is great, and it makes you feel like you're gliding through the world. The floaty nature of it makes it even better. It gives you a chance to react and make better moves to fix your mistakes, you know. Now onto the combat. The combat is great. The ragdoll and the connectivity of hitting a zombie or human is worse than the first game though, but that is going to be fixed in a future patch or something, but this should have been fixed at launch. So yeah, the zombie physics are kind of worse, you know. Or the human physics also, when you're fighting an enemy. Overall, the combat is still very good and fun, but the zombie physics, like I said, are a bit disappointing. Especially when you compare it to the first game, which had excellent zombie physics, you know, or just enemy physics in general. I will say the combat with humans is way better than the first game. You can block, dodge, and parry. Blocking is useless, and I occasionally parry. I mainly dodge and dropkick, you know, people off a building. In the early game, I used parry more, but throughout, like, by the time you unlock dropkick or something, you don't need it. The combat is also, has a lot of options if you want a two-handed weapon main, or a quick one-handed blunt or sharp weapon. And yeah, the main thing that steals the show are the weapon mods. They are phenomenal, not just aesthetically, but functionally. You know, they're for the most part very useful. Overall, the combat is fluid, fun, and the parkour is phenomenal. The loot system is also good. The clothing system also works very well. The only problem is that you cannot dress with the best gear and keep the look you want, you know. I hope they add that sometime in the future. I just look like a fucking idiot, to be honest, with some of the outfits I have on, you know, but you know, you have to do what you gotta do for good gear, I guess, to have good stats. But hopefully they fix that in the future. There are skins in your stash, like the pre-order one and pre-order bonus and whatnot, but those are very limited at the moment. The loot system with the weapons is also great. The new durability system is also great. It makes it so then you don't use the most OP weapon throughout the entire game. Yes, there is a charm that makes the durability basically infinite, but you won't get that immediately, and you'll get that later in the game. And I still don't even have that yet, you know, but that's like pretty late in the game, you know. Also, the new system of mainly buying stuff in the shop is genius. It makes it so your money is worthwhile, and it makes it so then you actually go there a lot and sell a bunch of your stuff, you know. Also, the way you can upgrade blueprints to make them better is great. My main thing I like about the game compared to first is going out at night is encouraged. If you are at night, it is tougher, but some missions are only at night. You get more XP and buildings are more empty. I do wish there were more zombies in the daytime. I know it doesn't make sense because the UV things or whatever, but it's just they're never really a threat in the daytime, you know. Yes, virals are there and whatnot, but they're not enough to actually make it tough in the daytime. At night, it's a completely different story, you know. And then the more you play, the more new zombies, which it makes the game even more fun. All the new zombies, they're great, you know, they're a ton of fun and whatnot. Now on to the content in the game. The content is great for the most part. There are a bunch of Ubisoft copy and paste, but they are fun because of the gameplay. A big missed opportunity, which I really want them to fix in the DLC, a future one or whatever. There are only 3 outpost camps, 3 bandit camps, outposts, whatever the fuck you want to call them, okay? They're like outposts from Far Cry. They're really fun, and they also have a leader / boss, and you know, they give you good loot, stuff like that. The point is, there should have been more of them. The main missions are also fun, by the way, and carried by set pieces, and the story itself, you know, carried by that also. I'm glad that there are very few fetch quests now also, and they're actually legit missions. Yes, they are pretty linear for the most part, but they're really actually they're good, you know. They're not fetch quests or anything. There are a bunch of linear ones. Some of the open ones, yes, they're very open, obviously, but that's just to travel from point A to point B, not necessarily a open-ended mission where you get to do this instead of that and whatnot. You know, you're able to, yeah, do this instead of that. You know, you're still on a set path, besides if you make a choice or something. The night content is also great and very rewarding. The game is very rewarding, which is a plus. Now onto the glitches. I'll share my experience, but I'll use other people's footage because I don't want to have to watch all my streams, you know, find the bugs. That's like a lot of hours. Some of these might be patched by now, but I'll tell you my experience that I had so far. I experienced zombies walking into walls, getting stuck in walls, people walking into each other in cutscenes, game freezes, and the main thing that happened a lot was co-op not working, and me having to reload my game to be able to invite my friend. Overall, if you are big on bugs, wait till they're patched, you know. Also, I played on performance mode and it ran really well, but when I played on resolution or graphics mode, it ran like shit, okay? Like I said, these might be patched now, but it's an issue to have in mind, you know. Overall, I'm having a blast with this game, and I like it a lot. It's even better than the first game. It's not a masterpiece or anything, but it's fun, and I recommend just to watch out for the glitches, you know. But I do recommend the game itself. That's about it, and hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like the video if you liked the video, you know. That's about it, and bye.